Hey guys, what's up? I'm CJ and welcome back to my galaxy. Today we're talking about the topic, which is literally in the title. I am writing my dissertation on the Hunger Games, and we're going to get into that. We're going to get into different topics. I can't talk a whole lot about the dissertation, but I wanted to inform you guys about this and kind of my inspiration surrounding it and what I found in the Hunger Games that made me want to do this topic. Right, we're going to talk about how the aromantic and asexual community comes into it, and different Hunger Games codes, or what people call queer codes, Aroace codes, that sort of thing. And if you guys didn't know, I am myself aromantic and asexual. I've said it in a couple of videos in previous videos. If you don't know what aromantic and asexual means, they're two separate sexualities that often go hand in hand. They're a part of the queer community. A lot of people will tell you that they're not a part of the queer community, but trust me, they are. Don't listen to them. They're just queerphobic. They don't want Aroace people in the community, but we're here, and we're part of the queer community. So aromantic means little to no romantic attraction, and my table's wobbling a little bit because I have my stand on my table and I'm leaning on it. On my table, doesn't matter. Aromantic means little to no romantic attraction. Asexual means little to no sexual attraction. There's a whole spectrum. There's this thing called micro labels, which is something I'm going to be writing about in my dissertation as well. And I'm going to talk a bit about like how that involves Katniss and the Hunger Games in a second. But basically, micro labels, there's a whole wide variety of micro labels that mean different things to different relationships, and a lot of relationships are just not, conventional within the community, within the Aroace community. And that's mostly why we're queer as well, because we are not within the conventional norm, the societal norm. So how does being Aroace tie into the Hunger Games, and why am I talking about both of them? And in a video that I said that I'm writing about the Hunger Games. So I need to be careful about what I talk about. I'm gonna tell you guys this story first, right? I'm gonna involve the topic of my dissertation in a story as well. So I recently was talking to an honors student. Basically, from my knowledge, honors is basically the same as a master's degree, but it's not technically post-grad either. I think it's like technically post-grad, but it's not. But after I do an honors year, I can go straight into a PhD, which is what I'm planning to do. So I'm writing a dissertation. I cannot remember how many words it has to be, but eventually I do have to figure it out. The last time I checked, it was 15 to 18,000 words, which sounds like a lot, but it's not when you separate it into chapters. Trust me, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, that's not enough words for me to write everything that I want to say. But I was recently talking to another honors student, and I think there's like 30-ish of us at the university I go to. And I'm not going to tell you what university I go to. Eventually, you guys will probably find out about it, which does worry me a bit, because I want to publish the dissertation or make it accessible to you guys in one way or another. We'll figure it out in the end of the day, right? And I was talking to another honors student. My brain is all over the place. This is fine. This is great. I know what I'm talking about. I was talking to this honors student. This is the third time I've repeated that. And we were kind of going back and forth about what our topics were. Mind you, I'm a literature major. In my bachelor degree, I did business and arts. I did literature, and this other honors student did history. And I'm telling them about my topic being aromantic and asexual representation in literature. Eventually, I narrowed down my topic to young adult literature, which is why the Hunger Games is involved, and we'll get further into that in a minute. I want to kind of map this video out as Aroace and then the Hunger Games towards the end, and then, that's how I'm setting out this video, obviously. Hopefully you guys caught wind of that. And this other person was writing about, they were doing, I think they called it queer cowboys in history, like historical figures, and queer cowboys essentially is what it was. And I told them eventually for a PhD, and this is my inspiration for doing an honors year and writing a dissertation on the Hunger Games, is that I want to eventually add more aromantic and asexual representation in the academic world, since there's not very many of us. There are some of us, but we're kind of scattered around the globe doing research all over the place. There's not a lot of us. There's not a big community compared to a lot of different other communities, but we are there. And I wanted to add to that and add to the building of the community. I'm telling this person about this, and I tell them that I use the specific phrase queer literature, and in class, a couple weeks later, they say as a history major that they've changed their topic since talking about it last time in class, and what they're doing is queer literature. This is just basically me ranting in this video. I'm sorry, guys, but they literally stole my topic and I needed to complain somewhere. And that's why I'm being careful on the internet. Also because of some ethical issues with like interviews, and I don't actually legitimately know how much I'm allowed to say. So I'm going to be a little bit vague here and giving you as much detail as I can still at the same time. But I want to be careful because that student literally stole my PhD idea. I was using the term queer literature. I wanted to study queer literature and a different topic that I'm not actually going to say in this video because I don't want someone else to steal the idea, but they're doing queer literature and literally what I wanted to do for my PhD. And I can't say I'm not mad about it, but I am telling you guys what my honors dissertation is because it's going to be published, hopefully, by the end of this year. And at this point, I don't think a lot of you could probably steal it before I complete the dissertation. Hopefully, maybe if you do, screw you, and maybe you deserve it more than me, because how did you do that so fast? And only if it's accurate though. Only if it's good dissertation. Other than that, if it's not good, screw you. The whole idea of this dissertation is just to add more representation where I am able to and build that my own knowledge. I love learning. I know that I'm such a nerd. And I love learning. I love literature. I love the Hunger Games. So I thought, let's combine them all. And I also thought it'd be really kind of funny to have a PhD in literature. Like I'd be a doctor in literature. Not only a doctor in literature, but I'd specialize in areas like the Hunger Games. Isn't that so, like, I want to say silly goofy. Like, that's the only description I can think of for it. It's kind of crazy that I could specialize in the Hunger. That's kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. And the how hilarious it is kind of one of my key motivators. Definitely. And one of the things I wanted to talk about in this video, once again, we all know I have notes in my videos, that I have notes for them. My notes say that I've already been teaching a lot of like academics who are teaching me, you know, in classes about being Aroace as well, which is very interesting. It is very isolating, but at the same time, it's good to know that I'm teaching people in this academic sphere, because that's why I'm here. That's why I'm in academia, and that's why I'm studying, because I want everyone to be aware of us, the community, and that we're a part of the queer community, and you're going to continue seeing more of us eventually. So obviously I'm going to use we as a community. I am going to be using the Hunger Games, which is a very big pop culture, very mainstream commercial book and movie series that is a good example to get started with young adult literature and representation of the Aroace people. For an example of people I have been teaching, I've been giving little ideas to, for like I say tutors, and a lot of people aren't going to call them tutors because the university I go to is a little bit like not as well funded as all of the rest of them, but they're professors. Not all of them are professors, because some of them aren't paid to be professors. Some of them are tutors, but they're essentially the same thing. But I've been teaching my professors / tutors, we call them tutors. One of them hadn't heard of aromanticism before, being aromantic, but has heard of asexuality before. So I taught them that people could be aromantic, and I taught like a whole class. I had to do a presentation on a theory like a sociology theory, that sort of area, and I picked a metanormativity, which is kind of the assumption that everyone wants a romantic relationship, which goes against being aromantic. And after that, my professor essentially, she sent me a document or an article of that she thought I would find interesting on being Aroace, and kind of going against that traditional family dynamic as well. And I was like, I did good. I did so well. I'm bringing it, it's like it's on people's radar now, and I'm not even done working in this space. Like, I'm going to continue working. I'm glad that my goal is already in the works. It's a good sign. It's a really good sign. And one of the kind of tidbits, the negatives, is that it's very isolating. It is kind of isolating. It's one of the reasons, I guess, that it's good to have the Hunger Games as an example of representation that I haven't even really talked about yet. But if you have watched my video on Aroace Media, or my series Aroace Media, I talked to Rachel from AngstyAce, and I'll leave the link to that in the description down below, that I talked to her about queer representations in the Hunger Games, and that was definitely a big inspiration for this whole dissertation as well. But studying it is like so isolating, and having pop culture as a reference point, as an example, means that I am able to kind of find a community, because the community itself is so big. So I can find a lot of information on it, first of all. And second of all, it means that it's, you know, you can find so many different varieties of people in the area. So it's not as isolating as it could be. So it's like a positive and a negative. There was one person, the coordinator of the humanities, languages and social sciences for honors, told me to go outside of the university to look for community with Aroace people. And I'm like, that sucks. Why? I'm the only person studying this topic in my university. When you get into academia, there's very, very niche topics, but the fact that I'm the only person that I know of who is aromantic and asexual and studying the topic within academia in the university is kind of sucky, and it just really sucks. But, you know, we get past it. We see the silver linings, and we look towards pop culture and massive fandoms like the Hunger Games to be able to get past it. And the example of the Hunger Games is really a big thing that I've heard about in the community before. And before we get into, you know, Sunrise, and, you know, I know people asking me, I don't know if people are asking me, people are probably curious. No, I have not read Sunrise and the Reaping. I'm getting to it. Probably, maybe. I do need to. It's actually a top priority right now. It kind of has always been a top priority. It's a top priority because I can't go into interviews with, like, talking about the Hunger Games and with Aroace people and activists and whatever. I can't go into interviews without knowing about Sunrise on the Reaping. So it is like a #1 priority for everything that's going on in my life right now, because my studies need it, and so does YouTube. So yeah, I've also been on a social media detox. Just a side note, it's just been lovely, you know. So life without social media is actually amazing. But let's get into some of the evidence. I'm not going to tell you all the evidence, but if you've watched my video about queer representation with AngstyAce, you're going to know quite a lot of the representation. It is throughout the entire book series. It is throughout, like, the original trilogy, it's most prominent. I wouldn't be surprised if you can find bits and pieces in Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. However, well, I can personally see things that are kind of like queer codes, but it's in a negative light, which I could probably make a whole video on. If you guys want me to make a video on the negative connotations about Aroace representation and how that reflects in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I will do that, because Coriolanus Snow is a really good representation of that, but it's very implicit, and I could do that. That's a side note. someone let me know in the comments, because I will do that. But in the original trilogy, it's based on Katniss and her relationship with both Peter and Gale, and how Peter and Gale represent her being demi-romantic / demisexual. I would almost argue she's demi-romantic first before she's demisexual, simply because of it being a young adult book and those themes aren't explored as much in the novel series. But being demi-romantic, basically both of them mean essentially the same thing, just on different parts of the aromantic and asexual spectrum. Demi is like part of the micro labels I spoke about earlier. Demi-romantic means that you only have romantic attraction if you form an emotional bond with someone, and demisexual is the same with sexual attraction. It's only if you have an emotional bond with them. So it's the idea that she is demi-romantic, demisexual, but for this video, I'm going to be basically talking about her being demi-romantic. The whole idea is Katniss, over time throughout the trilogy, is not romantically attracted to Peter, or necessarily kind of Gale as well, but I want to focus on Peter just for this video, for the simplicity of things and of time constraints. But Peter, there's no relationship there. It's a very forced relationship, especially if we see in the arena in the 74th Hunger Games, the very first novel, that Katniss is forcing herself to kind of be romantic with Peter, and kind of makes her uncomfortable. It makes her uncomfortable with her kind of trust issues as well, and that's her characterization in a bit as well. And she doesn't start to become comfortable until they start sharing real stories with one another. Yeah, Katniss changes it up a bit so that the Council doesn't know for sure, doesn't have evidence that she's illegally hunting outside of District 12, so she changes the story a little bit, but it's still based on the true story. It's mostly the truth. And Peter tells her the same thing about how he kind of fell in love with her when they were 5, and he's only ever noticed her and whatever. It's really cute. Read the books. Anyway, and Katniss doesn't have that attraction, or at least confusion of her feelings with Peter, until they start sharing stories. And that's one of the most prominent parts. And then you definitely, if you want to look, Catching Fire, massive argument there as well, but if you skip to say Mockingjay, for example, you start to see that Katniss has started realizing her feelings because she has that emotional connection with Peter already, that emotional connection building in Catching Fire, especially on the train in the Victory Tour. That's a big thing as well. You all know what I'm talking about. And that way, Katniss has an emotional bond with Peter, and her feelings with Gale are confused because she also has an emotional bond with Gale, except he's being really needy and a massive jerk, and it's weird, and we don't like Gale. And if you were ever on Team Gale, what is wrong with you? What was happening back in the 2010s? Guys, let's just screw our heads back on. We need to time travel back to the 2010s and be smacking people left, right, and center who are Team Gale. What? Guys, please. And Katniss just doesn't have an emotional bond with them, but then she does, and then she's romantically attracted to them, and then her feelings get confused, and then she realizes she has more of a bond with Peter. She has a lot more in common. It's not that, no, they don't have more in common. They do have more in common, but their values align much more. I think their values are one of the things that, and we love that. We love when values align and it's evident in characters. That's a whole nother thing. That's anyway. I keep saying anyway because the Hunger Games, all the information just needs to be out of my brain all at once. and I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that, but I have, because there's a million things going on in my head when it comes to the Hunger Games. So what was I saying? I've already forgotten what I was saying. No, I completely lost my train of thought there. Anyway, I need to stop saying anyway. I'm looking at an image of Katniss right now on my Everlark shrine behind me. I'm looking at Katniss in Mockingjay Part 2, I think, of Katniss talking to Peter, and he's had one of his mental breakdowns, and she's kind of giving him a pep talk and then kisses him at what I would argue is the wrong time, time and place. But there's the emotional bond and they know each other, and because he's a mutt, that emotional bond is kind of broken at the same time. And oh my god, I'm writing my dissertation as we speak. I'm gonna use that maybe. Don't steal my idea. How dare you? How dare you steal my idea? I'm looking at you. Don't steal my idea. Not like that. Others honest student. You guys don't have the information overflow that my brain does. You probably do. I don't care. Don't steal my idea. The reason I'm putting this on the internet, despite the fact that I definitely probably shouldn't be, but it's because the fandom is really big and I definitely don't have original content. Like, the things that I've discovered about the community and listened to in fandom culture is not original. The evidence and my perspective of that evidence and of the research that I'm going to be doing for my dissertation is original, but it is based and inspired on other things that I've seen. That's why I'm comfortable sharing a lot of the evidence that I've found in the books, because it has been spoken on multiple times by many different people. The thing that I'm not comfortable with sharing, and the thing that I know for a fact I'm not allowed to share, is the stuff that's going on my ethics application. I'm doing an ethics application to be able to do interviews, and I can't share with you who I'm interviewing or possibly trying to contact to interview, but I have like a list of people, and I cannot wait to share with you guys what I'm going to be doing for that, because it's very, very exciting, and I'm really hoping that it goes well. So I will hopefully be sharing the evidence of the Hunger Games. I'm hoping to, I think I might be able to do a video on the actual writing of the like analysis part of the Hunger Games series, not just like the interviews, but analysis of the Hunger Games, since that's essentially what I do on my channel anyway, and I'm just repeating myself on a piece of paper for academia, you know, in a more formal professional format, you know, kind of like that. But I won't be sharing everything, and I might post it after I hand in my dissertation and get my grade back, just in case I get in trouble, and just in case plagiarism is flagged. I don't want to accidentally do that, you know. And that, on another note, my supervisors are now aware of my YouTube channel, and I'm like really panicking about it. And this is like the very last point I'm gonna make, is that I shared some videos and some of the work I've done in the AngstyAce community already, 2 of which being 2 videos on my YouTube channel by Aroace Media, and then being that I was on the International Asexuality Day 24-hour live stream. Hopefully that made sense. I was on there discussing history in one part and then literature in another part, because I felt like it did need to go on my ethics application. Just saying that it probably did need to go on there, that I am involved within the community, because it definitely, that involves like academia and professional stuff. And I was thinking it over, and I was like, I'm gonna need to tell them where. I was telling them all these like internet things that I know about, and I didn't have any of like how I figured it out and how I did the research, and it was very vague what I was telling them. And I was like, I have to share my YouTube channel. I'm doomed. They're gonna see me and they're gonna laugh at me, and that's, my life is gonna be over, and they're not gonna take me seriously. I think it's fine for now, but fingers crossed they don't kick me out of the program. I offer a unique perspective. If my supervisors are watching, like I said, I offer a unique perspective. I am what one calls a literary genius. So I am an asset to your university. Please don't kick me out. I love the Hunger Games and the Aroace community. This is gonna be great. This is gonna turn out amazing. And this is gonna be great for the university I attend. And that is level 1,000 confidence that I need going into this dissertation. But that is it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed me discussing a little bit about my dissertation. I might, like I said, make another video down the line. I'm hoping I didn't talk too much about my dissertation and things that could go wrong and I could get kicked out of the program. Don't make this viral. Thank you, guys. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and comment down below What do you think of Aroace representation in the Hunger Games? No hate speech is allowed. I'm just saying. Don't be hateful in the comments. It's really not that difficult to accept people and to be nice. Just don't say it, okay? But what do you think of Aroace representation in the Hunger Games? Have you ever thought of it before? Have you ever not thought of it before? Whatever. What do you think of queer representation in the Hunger Games? All that jazz, let me know in the comments down below. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, but I have been CJ, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!